Welcome and thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Michaela Schoneler and I'm thrilled to be presenting the second of a two-part series of live stream and performances and films by 4 leading artists that respond to the theme of change. This event is hosted by Amani Creatives, an organisation at the heart of African communities in Manchester. Their mission to showcase the beauty, diversity and complexity of contemporary arts and culture from the African communities. Next to me, I have Emanuela from Amani Creatives. I think last week we talked about the impact of the pandemic on the artists that you work with, and also the audiences that need that access to their cultural and heritage activities. So can you tell me a little bit about how you have had to kind of adapt to the change this year, and what kind of things have you put in place?
So some of the things we had to put in place in order to adapt to new realities, like I was saying last week, includes exactly things we were able to do thanks to this project. So first of all, we put together this team of professionals, and actually we've been working with few of them for a number of years now, and I always forget to say publicly thanks to them because they've been amazing, and to be honest, without them maybe things we do wouldn't be as good, as professional as they are. And because most of the time I can remember our committee members, I can remember our artists, but I tend to forget those who you never see because they are always behind the scenes. So some of those people include our PR and marketing person called Ruth Allen, and our designer Mark Brown, our copywriter Gelly Berg, and other member of staff like Kuj, who has been for the past, in our past 2 projects, has been artistically directing our artists, our projects. So yeah, I'm happy today I've had this opportunity to remember to say thanks to them as well. Yeah, so like I was saying, this project has given us things, people that enabled us to survive, to come out to the other side of this period. And like I was saying, people, but also the equipment, even our artists, because for some it was like they've given up, they are no longer hope, but sometimes because it's not enough, because there are these commissions, sometimes you just feel that's it. It's kind of, this opportunity came, but it came kind of too late. So having artists also who want to keep fighting together with their organizations is also something. And our audiences, people kept asking, we understand maybe at the moment you can't organize live activities, but when is your next program, your next project, your next activity? So everybody, everything that we have around us today has helped us to get to this thing.
And this specific project, what does change mean to you? A commission, so 4 leading artists asked to respond in their ways, in their artistic ways to that theme. But it's twofold, the project itself, isn't it? It's not just about the commission and the audiences, but it's also about...
So this project has kind of 2 parts. One part consisted of really building our organization's resilience. So included, for example, really restructuring Amani to become a KIC, a CIC, a community of interest company, and also bringing in new directors, getting them trained for their new roles, developing a business plan. And so that was kind of really the developmental side of our organization. And the other part has consisted of these commissions and artists, which really are about launching our new online digital programs, just to say, from now on, we feel confident. If we can't do our activities in live formats, we can now do what we do in digital format.
So almost like a sustainability or some future-proofing the organisation. And what about the audiences? I mean, how does that affect your communities? Have they got access to be able to watch it on live stream? How are you dealing with that?
Yeah, like you just said, so people are joining us online. They are able to watch these showcases on YouTube and other online platforms. And also, I think another positive thing about this project, it has revealed to us kind of, like I was saying last week, not only maybe our creativity, our willingness to support each other, but also the needs, and the needs, because we've realized how some people need to learn or to develop new skills, particularly digital skills. So we clearly know now, for example, the next step is maybe to keep training our community, our collective, our artists in digital skills, but also just to keep is supporting them, inspiring them, encouraging them to go online as well, because that's a huge step.
Yeah.
Even me personally, at first I was really scared, because all I knew, it was just a live approach, a live context. But today, even if the live format comes back, I think it will still need to develop this digital side of things as well. So that's something else I can say about this.
I think it's
project.
fantastic. I mean, we were talking last week about how many people within the community come up to you and say, I didn't realise how much I missed the experience of that piece of music or that painting or art or whatever art form, dance for instance. So you've got that, you're able to give that, aren't you? You're able to give what is quite essential. That's what I was trying to get to, is this idea that art is essential.
Yeah, it is definitely. I think it has been proven during these times of lockdowns. We no longer had venues opened, festivals, programs, and so on. And also, I think for some people, maybe it was kind of challenging to come out to physical programs, live activities, events. But now people, maybe for some people, they feel more comfortable watching in the comfort of their home. From home, they don't have to go out. They don't have to physically be there, because and it doesn't mean people are not sociable. People are still sociable, but for some people maybe it's just challenging. But now, because you can just go on YouTube and you connect to what's happening now, and for some people that's the best approach.
So last week, of course, we had Christian Azare and we had Papa Sam Alafia. This week we have the lovely Yusra Warsama, and we have Tshepe Tshepela. Tshepela, thank you. Honest to goodness, I've been thinking about that name all day. So let's introduce our first artist. And we've got Yusra Warsama and her film Between 3:30 to 4:44. Thank you.
Change must equal time. What is change but the constant ticking clock, where the seconds tick louder? There's a specific time where these seconds tick the loudest, between 3:30 and 4:44. Eyes wrought with thoughts, and the world is quiet, but its drama lines from the front door, around the block, up to the northern Atlantic, down to the bottom of the southern hemisphere. Stillness also arrives, the hypocrisy of man and its confusion, like new-aged hippie crystals chanting with neo-Nazis in the distance. Kids from the country are sleeping in this city with fades, mimicked outfits from Pac and Biggie, set out to wear in the morning, Caucasian hair slicked down with gel to create the effect of edge from these edges. And these inner city kids who came up with it all, sleep as adults now, decades later, in this city. When you sleep, You are not invisible. You are everything you need to be somewhere else, where desire and ego is not screamed at you. You are back to the world of dreams where we all come from. Between 3:30 and 4:44, I wake. The world feels all asleep. And that time of in-between space is massive. And life emanates around my skin. No news or world politics or fragmented cultures where Africa is just a place, where there are just some people, and that time just watches this land, some land. In that in-between time, I know that Africa is the birthplace of my parents. There is a place so vast and expansive my soul can only yearn for its magnitude. It's so massive in its name and people. The land in which I live still struggles to understand it. And oh, how it tried to be conquered, but it stands firm with its oceans all around. It knows itself and its existence. In these in-between hours, in the time, the lights of this place, it spreads like a warm blanket. The hemoglobin of my blood warms and dances. How dare I even think to walk this earth with doubt? Between 3:30 and 4:44, I swing between things, so I hold on to a rope. We are all just trying at times to keep our heads above water. The only time I want to descend into the ocean, into its deep depths, is when I choose to swim down to search for those pearls, those precious pearls. Time gets twisted on tongues, salivating with false proclamations of brother and sister. Ghosts of my ancestors and ghosts of colonizers fight in between my sinews and occasionally acknowledge one another whilst they squeeze into my ligaments, holding a truce. Slipping, slow motion, whispers up and down my spine to my brain. What is this? What is this? Synapses forced to find answers, forming new pathways. I haven't got a headache. It's just each step feels new, undone, too much debris to be pressed down before a way forward is even thought of and made smooth. That's where a lot of time goes, balancing the contradictions of shape-shifting echoes of the past. There are wells and dips and valleys on this flesh that made my mother wonder at the power of something greater. Did she wake between 3:30 and 4:44 at times too? Faith held unmovable but soft, bruised from criticism. Ignorance can live in the cynical raised lip of people. I find myself holding myself, the parts of me left at the end of uncompleted sentences, from conversations held in the periphery. Where does time go? Open-hearted and open-minded is like a superpower, allowing us to swing pendulum-like between ideas. Sometimes we don't see who gave birth to our own minds. Ex-prime ministers re-educating youth in faraway villages. I fear for them, for those youth. Maybe you should too, for sometimes all they have is their prayer beads and kind faith. Maybe time goes to where the rich men ponder and reason on how to change legacy and break the sense of self that belongs to humble men. Where does the time go? Give me the simplicity of faith and the purity of my own dreams. 'cause each molecule that surrounds us is filled with a visceral curiosity. We must die between 3:30 and 4:44, yet so alive. We still traverse over ourselves to be a deeper kind of free. Freedom once was a summer popping hot tarmac bubbles, not noticing the broken dreams splintering from behind the eyes that belong to uncles and cousins from other relations, all these displaced men, wondering what they should do, wandering away from the dull ache of deferred dreams. Maybe someone should make a film about them. Their eyes splinter the same way as those men in Sheffield from factories. But this is Manchester, where we would also witness the sweet sweat of women building dams to keep poverty from stealing the eyes of their children. Twisted, thwarted memories married with time, reenacting the past whilst I gasp and grasp at the pieces of myself. Maybe there's something behind the lover's eyes. But the lover's eyes can't meet mine. There are too many shards of forgotten false names in the way. The school teachers in the past assumed my classmate was a refugee because he can't read words, so he stays lost in the woods of misunderstanding. Unrecognised, unseen, undiagnosed, ridiculed, he is labelled. I think that one is injustice. No one can see him but men in uniform. All this leaves me questioning who I am. I name that one doubt. All this probably leaves my ancestors wanting to time travel to the future and slap sense across my head. I'd name that salvation. I like the name realization because I was never confused. Those teachers are placed in the folds of my belly fat silenced. That's why our women have to build spaces so the next ones don't struggle. So they know their names and not jealousy, anger, frustration, injustice, doubt or salvation, but they actually know that they are named love. I sometimes see love between 3:30 and 4:44. Time goes to the days where bloody bastard beasts eat everything as if there is no hope. But there is. We all have to hold on to that rope, so tightly that the pads of our hands become calloused. If we knew where time was going, maybe we'd go back to when arched desert feet pounded concrete, where lopsided headscarves would dance to the undulation of the bumpy slide in the big park, to when chants of go back home had no resonance, to when immigrant girls danced to the Spice Girls whilst keeping their prayers. There are folds in me, contradictions and hypocrisies laying claim to the crevices of my body. So many cultures lie here, alive, small colonies thriving in each pore spread across this skin. Everything spins between 3:30 and 4:44. I smile, 'cause we still always burst through with glorious wings, because everyone's spirit will never allow them to become dust, no more dust, lining future coffins made from the regrets of kin. We, everyone, belongs everywhere, wherever they choose, by virtue of our existence. Home and love always resides within me. I don't mind not sleeping between 3:30 and 4:44.
Yusra Warsama is a poet, a writer, theatre practitioner. She is an actor sorry, I'm trying to read. I've got distractions. Sorry, I'll start that again. Yusra Warsama is a poet, actor, writer and theatre practitioner from Somali heritage. Her passions lie in creating work through play and exploration of life experiences in the world that we live. Yusra is as comfortable treading the boards as she is in front of a TV film crew. You will have seen her appear in shows such as Call the Midwife, Cold Feet and Castle Rock, to name a few. Yusra, hello, how are you?
I'm really good, Michaela.
It's really good to meet you.
And you?
Your piece really resonated with me. Firstly, I am very familiar with that time in the wee hours of the morning. But there was also something about it that was sort of mercurial, a bit like time is as well. So I just wondered whether you could tell us a little bit about your process.
Each process of everything I do is pretty much different. I think with this piece, we're working off the theme of change.
Yep.
And at first I thought, well, nothing immediately came to mind, but then it's everything as well, because everything's constantly changing. We're always changing. We're never the same person in each fragmented second. We're different people in all our relationships, in all the places that we go. So it's quite an exciting brief. How I work, because it's constant, life is always different things. So I kind of write moments and thoughts of and ideas, and as this idea progressed, it became almost like a stream of consciousness, but a curated stream of consciousness. Yeah. So waking up at the time of between 3:30 and 4:44 is such a magical time. I always thought the witching hour was 12 o'clock,
right, yeah.
but the witching hour was 3 o'clock.
Yes.
At that time, I listen to these like people that say beautiful things sometimes, and one of these beautiful things I heard once was actually, because I thought waking up at that time, I used to think, oh, it's really stressful.
Yeah.
It's only a few years ago I really started waking up at that time. I used to think, oh, well, I've got to get up in the morning, I've got to do so many things, I've got to be alert for all the million things that life asks of me and I ask of it. But one of the things that I heard was that time, wake up, because the breeze might have secrets to tell you.
Oh.
And it was such a relief, because the world is silent at that time. Yes. And I suppose, like I said, it was curated ideas of consciousness, so bits of writing here, bits of writing there. But change for me fundamentally equals time. And the fact that time, even though our bodies and our spirits and our minds are moving forward, we always move, we keep moving, no matter what it is, through hardship, through joy, we keep moving. It's merciless, but we can also find the joy in it, but it's the mind that holds the memories of the past. So actually it's this thing that wakes up at that time, that reminds you and pulls you back. But those things you've got to let go of, right? Whether they're good or bad, they've gone. We can only just be like in the now and keep moving. So I suppose, so it's kind of threaded together with lots of ideas, like Manchester makes a lot of me, and I make a lot of Manchester. And I think it's really interesting now, there's lots of different types of people, but growing up there wasn't that many different types of people, and we're showing my side. So kind of just all these ideas and thoughts, and change equaling time was the thing.
Time then, when you were growing up, and time now. And what was it like for you then, when it wasn't as rich culturally? Is that what you're saying?
I would say not as rich, because like I think Manchester's just beautiful. Everywhere's beautiful. Everywhere has its own like history, its own kind of heritage, and it's so wonderful. But I think at the time for me, so it's this idea of diaspora, for example. Like now, it's cool. Do you know what I mean? Like back in the day, people used to take the mick out of big lips or big bottoms or long nails. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now it's cool. It's commodified. But what does that mean when you have your culture sold back to you in a capitalist endeavour? Like, what does that do to the mind? What is our sense of self within it all, you know? So that answers the question.
It does actually. And did you start going back to thinking about your process, because you also write and you're a playwright as well? So what did you start with words What came to you first? Was it words? Was it images? Was it movement?
Feeling.
Okay.
The feeling came to me first, and then bits of words, and then images, because it's all, in a way, maybe this is pieces, the fragmented pieces of my different bits of self, and that's not something that, and that's a hard thing to manage sometimes, because you can think everything confounds us to be like just one thing, but we're many different things, there's many different layers to us. So the idea of like, being an African in England, what does that mean? How does that resonate? What are the layers? But everyone's still different. Everyone's still an individual within that. And I fundamentally believe in the power of the individual. So images, feelings and thoughts first. And the images are always there. So when I think of saying something, like I imagine how that would be. So even the film itself, it's not a fancy job. It's not like, here's a studio with loads of lights. It's, what would that journey be?
Yeah.
What would that journey be? What does it mean? What's the relationship with the scarf? What is it with hands? What is it with prayer beads? What is it when, like, I was walking through Piccadilly Gardens and I was like, this is it. It's just people. We're all people. There's these throngs of people in the sun, but each one has their own story. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if only we gave each other more space.
Yeah.
For our own selves, do you know what I mean, as well as others, then it's just joyful and also kind of cathartic, because we're not necessarily, for me, understanding or giving each other space to hear one another, particularly at this time.
And quite timely when we're looking at physical space being an issue in terms of COVID as well, and in the film there are people with masks on, but people still seem very close, and it's kind of a little bit like what's going on here, and where, you know, sort of going backwards and forwards with that sense of overwhelm with people, and then the images in the park with the scarf.
Yeah, and it's nature's on our doorstep. Do you know what I mean? In so many ways. I don't like it when they changed Alec Park, because I liked parts of Alec Park that you couldn't see any of the roads, whereas now, I know it's a safety thing, you can see the main roads, but there used to be parts of the park where it felt like you couldn't be in a city. So I wish city planners also thought about the people that populate the inner city, that might not necessarily have the funds to go out to the Lake District or what have you. So let's protect our green spaces and make sure that people that live there, as well as people visiting or people that are transitionary. There's a lot of transition communities in our inner cities of students, young professionals, but let people lay down roots in those spaces as well.
And so how has working in a pandemic changed the way you've lived this past year?
Less gallivanting.
Okay.
You know what, I liked it. Now I'm kind of got itchy feet, but the world is opening up and what have you. But I really loved the fact that no one was doing anything. So it was almost like that in between time. I don't do Christmas, but obviously I do Christmas because it's holiday times in that sense.
Yeah.
So between Christmas and New Year's, there's that liminal space. And it felt like that, but extended, and there was something really beautiful about that. There's no demands, there's nowhere to go, there's nothing you have to reply back to. So just to take a breath, recollect, sense of self, sense of family. Like, I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really beautiful. And also that's the thing about liminal spaces. I feel like I've always occupied liminal spaces just by virtue of like the different identities that live within me. And in a way, the film is those that are trying to articulate that liminal space.
Yeah.
How do you articulate the culture that you grow up in and the culture that you belong to and all these different things that are part of you? What is that grey area? So I'm always obsessed with trying to maybe articulate that liminal space. And that time, the liminal space lives in the mind as well, but the mind can't live in the liminal space all the time. We always need something firm.
To ground you.
Yeah. Or you just be like, and sometimes I'm a bit like, so it's,
I asked Christian last week, and I also asked Papa Sam this, which was, have you got any advice or words of wisdom for young aspiring artists out there? Might be looking at you and going, wow.
Everyone's looking at me and saying, wow, like I pray for them. No, just kidding. But, if they, for anyone, like young people, also people that might be in their 40s or 50s, anyone that, like for me, everyone is an artist. It's like being an athlete. It's a muscle you must exercise. the beautiful thing about the arts, you don't have to be a youth to grab it, do you know what I mean? You can be at any age, and if you want to write, you've got a penchant for writing, write. Look at paintings, like art is for everyone. And also like be in it for the right reasons, and my right reasons are like do it for the art, do it for the truth, trying to find a deeper sense of what we are, like that's what art is. It's like, and the scripts you get or what have you, it's an excavation of like why we love films, why we love characters. It's a exaggerated or a deeper look at who we are. And it's a beautiful endeavour, and I think everyone should be entitled to experience it, and everyone should be entitled to make it. And I think, so that's what I mean, like be in it for the right reasons. And if you're not, if you're in it for all the shiny stuff, be honest, be in it for the shiny stuff. But the shiny is not that shiny. You go to these things and you're like, is this what everyone wants? So know thyself, like all teachings tell you, like all things, like know thyself, like, and if you want to do it. And there's so many organisations in Manchester that you could tap into. Amani Creatives, even on their newsletter that goes out, there's always a list of opportunities.
Absolutely, and their YouTube channel as well.
Their YouTube channel, so there's lots of opportunities. And you know, the world is a small place. The creative world in England in general is relatively small. So the minute you start hanging out with a theatre and what have you, like you start meeting the most amazing people. You know what, people are just people. Yeah. All it is someone's endeavoured, you know, and that might be their gift as well, but it's 90% discipline as well as the talent. Yeah. So if you love it, like follow your heart, man. Follow your heart.
Oh, thank you. You've been really generous. And finally, what can we look forward to seeing you in or doing in the coming year or so?
There's a few bits and bobs, but I can't really...
You can't say anything.
There's one interesting bit that I think fell into place in the jigsaw of things. That's at the end of... Well, we'll see. That'll be out maybe... I can't really say. So that's interesting. And then all it is a constant graft, you know? Yeah. Constant graft. Constantly, like, just trying to chase the elixir. But being grounded. Yeah. But thank you so much, Michaela. You're also very generous.
Oh, well, thank you for everything, and loved the film, and good luck with what you're going to be doing next. I can't wait to find out what it is.
Oh, thank you, my love.
Next, we have Tshepe Tshepela. Tshepe is, I'll just go and have a look at my notes, was born in Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He studied jazz, performance and composition at the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire. This ambitious composition explores the complexity of changes which took place in Congolese music of the 1950s. And I'll let them get set up.
I know. Yes. Welcome to my world. And today I'm going to take you on a journey back to my world where you've never been before. But before, wait a minute. So, my name is Mama Joyce, and I'm going to take you through a journey of change, transformation, a thrilling journey through the years. You see, with change comes a lot of things, and this change, where I come from, we use music. You know, music in the beginning, It was not just for entertainment. We do love our entertainment. But music was not just for entertainment. Music was to pass on the news to the neighborhood villages, warning them of danger, passing on good news, celebration, whatever the occasion, we used our music. And when we wanted to shout about our love for one another, we also use our music. You see how music travels. It goes through the time. We love our traditional instruments, of course, but we've changed. Independence, a new era, vibration. We discovered the guitar. We discovered piano. We discovered so many electrifying instruments, taking us to a new era, a time of celebration, a time of freedom, adding to our groove, a change, a spice, a new change. And that change, of course, something never changed. We've changed. Some things just never change, and that is the groove. Independence, cha-cha, to Zuie. Holy panda, cha-cha, to Bakiti. Oh, tableau rond, cha-cha, pas gagné, oh. Indépendance, cha-cha, to Zuie. Indépendance, cha-cha, to Zuie. Oh, qui pointe, cha-cha, to Bakiti. Oh, table ronde, cha-cha, pas gagné, oh. Indépendance, cha-cha, to Zuie. Indépendance, cha-cha, to Zuie. Oh, qui cha-cha, tupakidi. Oh, table ronde, cha-cha, bagagné. Indépendance, cha-cha, tozouié. Indépendance, cha-cha, tozouié. Oh, les pandas, cha-cha, tupakidi. Oh, table ronde, cha-cha, bagagné. Oh, indépendance, cha-cha, tozouié. We've changed. Some things don't change. We've discovered the electrifying sound of the guitar, but our groove remains. Woo! Cha-cha, tozouié. Oh, les pandas, cha-cha, tubakidi. Oh, table ronde, cha-cha, bagagné. Oh, indépendance, cha-cha, tozouié. Indépendance, cha-cha, tozouié. Oh, kipwenza, cha-cha, tubakidi. Oh, table ronde, cha-cha, bagagné. Oh, indépendance, cha-cha, tozouié. Cha-cha, tozouié. Oh, kipwanza, cha-cha, tubakidi. Oh, table ronde, cha-cha, bagagné. Indépendance, cha-cha, tozouié. Of course, it was a good time of celebration with the guitar, with the new electrifying instruments. But we've changed. Some things change. We started to lose. Our traditional instruments started to fade. We started to say goodbye to that pure sound. Life is changing. People are changing. The world is changing. Music, of course, our sound is changing. Our groove is changing. We said goodbye to our tradition. We started to say goodbye to our way of life, into a new way of life. Sad, but it's good. We still have our song. We still have our groove. We can still pass on the message from village to village through the vibration of our voices, through the vibration of our music, telling our families who have gone so far away, we still love them, we still care, we are still with them. Nakupenda mumezolange fami nalingi bino. Nakupenda mumezolange Onanga bikona be nakupenda umezolange famille nalingi bino yo 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 yo. A lot of things are changing, but we still have our voices. We can still pass on the message, but this time across the world. We are like everybody else now. We can use the vibration of the drums, the vibration of the bass, the vibration of the keys, the vibration of the guitar to say exactly what we mean. The same message, the same song, the same joy, the same pain, the same sorrow, the same happiness with a new groove. Nakupenda mumezolange famille nalingi vino. Well. We've changed. Some things don't change. When you want to talk about the neighbors, you still can do it. We lost the traditional drums. We lost the traditional instruments, but we still have our attitude. It doesn't matter what you are talking about. It doesn't matter what you are doing to me. I can tell you what I mean exactly from my song. And of course, what is a song without attitude? What is a story without a storyline? Of course, we like to dramatize, we like to be big. Our music needs to be heard. The only way it can be heard is through the movement, the actions. When the neighbors are troubling you, that neighborhood wife, she's on your case. You don't need to write a letter, no email, no text message, no WhatsApp, no Viber, no nothing. All you need is a song. And of course, a waist that can move. Bongo basinga ka conseil, soki likamboe, batuna kana ba oyo babalakala, soki kibomba ndiloko nini ye. Zalaka na moi maîtrise, soki oyo kilikamboe, yo motema lokola yankoi, okoluka si oboma moto ma. Natango ya bakoko ezalaka, mwasi ya liboso ye mokonzi ya famille, lelo makambo ebongwami, kozala mwasi ya mibale omemi nde ngambo basengaka conseil, soki likambo batunaka na ba oyo babalakala, soki kibomba ndeloko nini ye mame. Zalaka na moi maîtrise, soki oyo kilikambo yo motema lokola yankoi, okoluka se yo boma moto natango ya bakoko ezalaka, mwasi ya liboso ye mokonzi ya famille, lelo makambo mabongwami, kozala mwasi ya mibale omemi nde ngambo nalembi na komomana, nalembi na komomana, nalembi education nazwa na famille na ngai, nabengaka yo yaya soko olingeleki abanga yo, omibangisa, okoluka yo kontrole vi na ngai, okamusaka ngai, okoluka si oswanisaka ngai, ata na balabala, opesa nano pesa na biso lokumu, mama kulutu kulutue azali mokonzi na kompani monene tika kosambwisa ye nalembi na kobumana nalembi na kobumana nalembi éducation nazwa na famille na ngai nabengaka yo yaya soko lingileki abanga yo omibangisa okoluka yo kontrole vi na nga okamwisaka ngai okoluka si oswanisaka ngai ata na balabala opesana nopezo na biso lokumu mama kulutue azali mokonzi na kompani monene tika koswanisa ye of course. Éducation nazwa na famille na ngai nabengaka yo yaya soko lingeleki abanga yo omibangisa okoluka okontrole vi na nga okamwisaka nga okoluka se oswanisaka nga ta na balabala mepesa prizo na biso lokumu mama kolutu azali mokonzi na kompani monene tika koswanisa ye does not get that message, tell me I'm not Mama Joyce. I'm telling you. You know, things can change, but the message doesn't need to change. Although it changes, it doesn't really change, does it? We lack change, and with that change, we started to travel. We started to add more into it because we realized the change is good. Our message can travel. Everybody can understand what we mean now. We are part of the same world. We can still use even though our mbonda became a drum, lindanda became a guitar, our voices, so original, fresh, no microphone, started to transcend. Now we can use a microphone. Now we can be like everybody else. Then why not take a bit of everybody, incorporate a bit of the world, from every part of the world. Let's put it all together and add it to our own. And why not? We've changed. Everything changed. But some things remain the same. You know, we've changed. Everything changes. But some things remain the same. How do I look? Mama Joy's still here. The same Mama Joy's. The same message. But just a different sound to it. A different vibration. A fresh vibration. Natambola kina bazila mabe na yeba kite na jali molongi na yengaki koluka kimya solo motomoko walinga kinga utaboma apona kinga gai na yeba kite. Tambola kina bajela mabe na yeba kite na jali molongi na yengaki koluka kimya solo motomoko walinga kinga utaboma apona kinga na yeba kite. Na bisika yonso kobanga te ye shalongela siyo yo ye shalongela siyo yo ye shalongela siyo. Na yeba kite na shani molongi na yengaki koluka kimya solo motomoko walinga kinga utabu apona kinga gai na yeba kite singu ya kuja la mwana na nzambe akusimba yo na banjela na yo akujala na yo na bisika nyonso kobanga te ye shalongela siyo yo ye shalongela ye apanga kanga ye banana ye ye akusagade Ashani Zambe, yeah, no bagite, akojana na biso, no sukaya bomoy, kobanga teke no sukaya bomoy. Sengu ya kuja la mwana na Zambe. Simba yo na banjela na yo kujala na yo na bisika yonso bangate ye shalongela seyo told you, some things change, some things don't change. Sometimes we change and we go all the way back.
So much. It's been a while since I've had any live music. I'm like, oh, that was fantastic, and what a beautiful performance as well by Mama Joyce there. Thank you so much. Oh, we need your chair. Fantastic. Thank you. Hello.
Hi there.
Hi, it's lovely to meet you. That
Nice
was
to meet you too.
absolutely brilliant.
Okay, thank you much. Thank you.
I did feel like I was on a journey.
Yeah,
You know,
that was the whole idea.
that was the whole idea. Good. Well, it worked. So tell me a little bit about what inspired you to go to choose to choose the subject of change in terms of Congolese music,
Yeah.
and go into that direction.
I think it was just a choice. Talking about change, change means many things,
Yes.
a lot of things. Change means everything. I think in life, change. In life, everything's about change. In life, everything changes. But as a musician, just choose to talk about the change that took place in Congolese music. I remember growing up, I used to listen to a lot of music. I know how music was when I was young until now. So I just try to relate that, to express that, to tell that story about the change that took place in Congolese music especially. That was actually the idea.
Because you were kind of like looking at, I mean, you are a composer.
Yes.
And so there's the kind of really complex themes of electricity, modernization, colonization. How did you go about trying to kind of transpose that into a musical language? That's what I thought was really fantastic. You did a great job.
Yeah, I think it was basically like a life experience actually, because all these things we talked about here, we lived that. I was actually talking about what I used to hear as music, what I'm hearing now. So it's a life experience. I think it was just easy because I'm talking about the things that I lived. You know, I'm not too old, but but
I did get a sense.
Yeah, I think from my childhood, I think because I grew up in a house where people, I mean, nobody was a musician in my family. It's not like everybody, you know. But in my family, I was the only one musician. But I used to live where people like to listen to the music. So I listened to a lot of music when I was young, and especially what thing I was going to say. I used to live right next to what we call a pub.
Yeah.
You know, in Africa, pubs are not like here. Pubs in Africa, you know, there's not any how do you call that? There's not any I mean, you're allowed to play music loud,
Yes,
you know,
yeah,
for
yeah.
everyone to listen. So I was just living there, and I used to listen to all the music, and yeah, I think it was just a life experience actually.
Yeah, so it wasn't just the journey, the sort of journey that you were trying to tell about Congolese music and its influences, was also maybe a personal journey as well.
I think it was more personal than just telling a story.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's so that was the whole idea actually. Yeah.
And I'm curious, so in that pub, the pub next door to you, what kind of music were they playing? What were you listening to?
No, in that pub they were playing only Congolese music.
Yep.
So I had that, and I was in my home where my father was actually he was a journalist as well.
Okay.
So he used to travel a lot. He was a member of I mean, he used to travel with the president. I mean, yeah. So he used to go around, and he used to come to bring all sorts of music, you know, from where he was going. So in my house, we had a lot of variety of music, you know, all jazz, all these things, music from everywhere actually. So I had that, and I was that pub next door, and so it was just a combination of all these
Constantly
things.
hearing all these different.
That's one of the things that you find in my country, in Congo. You know, you listen to the music, even if you don't want to listen to music, you're forced to listen to music because there's music everywhere. Yeah, and it's no. I mean, you're allowed to play loud music. You know, people live like that. It's not like here. I like sometimes the quietness. I like that, but. You don't find that in Africa. You don't. No. I mean, you don't find that in Congo actually.
Yeah. And did you? I'm curious about as well, because when I was reading about you and how what was it about jazz?
Oh, jazz.
When did you discover jazz? When did you think, oh, this is the music for me?
I studied jazz here, but that doesn't mean that I choose jazz only when I came here, because I've only been here for like, I don't know, 15 years, something like that. But I used to learn jazz even in Congo. I think it was just a friend of mine who got me into jazz.
Okay.
And, you know, started to listen to jazz. I learned jazz here, I studied jazz here, but I was into jazz since I was in Congo actually. I was into jazz since I was in Congo.
And was it the jazz that Congolese musicians were playing, or was it more American or European jazz?
No,
what were you listening to?
It was most American, because you know, jazz is from America. So yeah, all these great musicians, Charlie Parker, all these, Oscar Peterson. We used to listen to them. It's not just that you know, it's not just Congolese jazz. I mean, we used to listen to all these big jazz star actually. Yeah, I used to listen to most of the time. I used to listen to all these Oscar Peterson. That was one of my favorite actually. Pianist. Yeah, yeah.
And when did you start learning to play the piano?
I can't really remember. You know, it's like it's like learning a language.
Yes.
You can't really tell when you start speaking.
That's a good point.
But I was, well, I guess I say what I was maybe 13, 15,
Okay.
13, 14. Well, yeah, so I didn't know really learn very early. I think it was a bit late, but yeah.
Yeah.
I was around 13 or 14.
And you just, and that was it for you once you...
But I can't really tell you when I started to play.
No, it just, fair enough. And then you came over to Britain and you studied at the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire.
Yeah, in Birmingham, yeah.
And you've travelled all over the world actually with your music. Can you tell us a little bit about travelling? Before coming to the UK, from Congo, that's where I used to play with I was lucky enough to play with one of the biggest band in Congo, which called Banaoke. Okay.
So the band has been around for more than 40 years. So
Okay.
it was a really big band. I've done a lot of touring with that band.
Okay.
That was like Europe, Africa. I used to tour. I've done a lot of gigs with them. But when I came to UK, I was mainly playing in the UK. Yeah. And the other things, I was also lucky to play with a theater company based in Birmingham, called Banner Theatre.
Yeah.
So with that company, I used to travel a lot, but within the UK actually.
Right.
So I went to a lot of places.
Yeah. And now you're in Manchester.
I'm in Manchester now. I mean, I've been in Manchester for like the past 13 years, 14
So
years.
we get to keep you then.
I like Manchester.
Good.
I like Manchester. Like I was telling my friends, that there's only two cities that I really like the most is Manchester and Kinshasa. Yeah.
I think Yusra and I were talking about the fact of how much we loved Manchester as well. And it feels very much, although neither of us were born in Manchester, both of us feel like it's home.
I feel that way.
Do you?
Definitely, I feel that way.
Yeah. So I have to ask you, because I've asked everybody else. What message do you have for aspiring musicians out there?
What message? Wow. Keep going.
Keep going, yeah.
Going. It's not easy, but if you have the passion, so just keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. It's not easy, I know.
And where can I look forward to coming to see you play again? Because that was phenomenal. I want to.
Hopefully, I guess I don't know what's going to happen in the next, in the next few months. But as soon as you can. As soon as I can. As soon as the lockdown is completely down.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Okay.
I wanted to say, before we say goodbye, I wanted to make sure that I thanked our artists again, Tshepe.
Yeah.
And if you could maybe let us know who was, I think that was Mama Joyce, phenomenal. But if you could just tell us who your musicians were.
So, like you mentioned, on the vocal, that was Mama Joyce with that wonderful voice.
Oh.
Yeah. And I played with my friends. On bass guitar, that was Job Kayembe. On keyboard, that was me. And Ephraim on the drum. And Nathan.
Thank you.
I really enjoy playing with them. They're really good musicians. Yeah.
Oh, well, you can feel that you were all enjoying it. It was great.
It was actually nice. It's been a while since we've done a gig actually.
It felt strange to be listening to live music. It was great. So I want to thank you all again for listening and watching. Let's thank our artists, Yusra Warsama and Tshepe Tshepela. And you can rewatch this brilliant series on the Amani Creatives YouTube channel. You'll be able to also see last week's event featuring Christian Azare and Papa Sam Alafia. And of course, thank you to Amani Creatives, our creative director, Kuj Shuhan, and his team. And finally, thanks to the National Lottery Heritage Fund for their financial support. So as I understand it, I think we've got these guys up again. They're really working hard for us today. Back up there. So they're going to play us out again with the lovely Mama Joyce. Okay, thank you so much. Bye.
Kolo Yesu kumama, kumama mwana na nzambe, kumama na yo, kumama na yo, ngai na yembeli yo, bongena kembo kumama, kumama mwana na nzambe, kumama na yo. Pesi na pema obonge na masanjo liko mama na bineli yo swalo kumwe kumama na yo kumame kumama kolo Yesu kumama kumama mwana na nzambe kumama na yo Ngana nitulio yobungi na masanjo likumame zuwa milolo zuwa mabina kumama na yo oh Yahweh Ngana nitulio yobungi na kembo kumama kumama mwana na nzambe kumama na yo kumama kolo Yesu kumama kumama mwana na nzambe oh kolo Yesu suwalo kumwe kolo Yesu obongi na masanjoli kolo Yesu obongi na lokumwe Mungu na sali nyonso afongoli ngamiso Mungu na sali nyonso ya afongoli ngamiso atalisinga bolembu nanga alobi na kokwea atalisinga ba faiblesse nanga alobi na kosuka kasi kolo Yesu mwana na nzambe kolo Yesu mwana na nzambe atali bolembu nanga alobi na kolonga atali ba faiblesse nanga alobi na kolonge anaza molongi naza molongi naza molongi naza molongi akolo Yesu tikana yembela tikana kumisa tikana sanjola tikana bidela tikana netola tikana kumisa tikana netola kolo Yesu mwana na nzambe kolo Yesu elombe mobali kolo Yesu mwana na nzambe Yesu aloni na yembeliye na ensengo kolo Yesu na ngalongi etumba na bineliye na ensengo kolo Yesu Yesu na ngalongi etumba na sanjolie na esengo Kolo Yesu alongi na netulie na esengo Kolo Yesu alongi etumba na sanjolie ah Kolo Yesu alongi na beti milolo Kolo Yesu alongi na beti milolo alongi etumba na binelie na esengo hallelujah Kolo Yesu alongi etumba netulaye na esengo